I died on my wedding day. Then woke up 30 days before my family was betrayed. If someone handed you 30 days to stop your own murder, what would you sacrifice to survive? Would you forgive? Or would you make sure every person who destroyed your life lost everything before they even realized the game had changed? My name is Elara Ashbourne. I remember the smell of burning cedar. I remember chains around my wrists. I remember my husband smiling as he handed me poisoned wine while my younger cousin watched without the slightest trace of guilt. The last thing I saw before darkness swallowed me was the family crest above the fireplace. Then, I opened my eyes. Not in that burning manner. Not as a 24-year-old Duchess of Ashbourne. But as a 12-year-old girl lying in my childhood bedroom. 30 days before the nightmare began. Every scar, every betrayal, every scream. I remembered all of it. And this time, I wasn't going to die. The morning sunlight spilled through silk curtains as servants hurried through the halls below. The Ashbourne estate buzzed with excitement. Today was supposed to be a celebration. My father had returned after nearly 3 years commanding the northern frontier. Everyone believed he was coming home alone. They were wrong. I climbed from bed before my maid arrived. I already knew what was waiting downstairs. The same scene that had destroyed my family in my first life. When I entered the grand hall, dozens of servants stood frozen. At the center stood my mother, Lady Helena. Her usually graceful posture had vanished. She stared at my father as though she'd never seen him before. Across from her stood Lord Cedric Ashbourne. Tall, decorated, beloved by the kingdom. The perfect nobleman, at least to everyone outside these walls. Beside him stood an elegant woman wearing traveling clothes far too expensive for a commoner. She was beautiful, soft-spoken, smiling. Her name was Serena. Behind her hid a small boy no older than 8. Grey eyes, dark hair, the exact features of my father. His name, Rowan, my half-brother, the child who would one day order my execution. My stomach twisted, not from fear, from memory. Father spoke calmly, as if announcing dinner plans. Helena, Serena has lived under my protection for 7 years. My mother's lips trembled. What? I intend to acknowledge Rowan as my son. Silence swallowed the room. Then my mother laughed. Not because anything was funny, because sometimes pain becomes so overwhelming that laughter is all the body has left. You abandoned your family for years. You returned with another woman. And you expect me to welcome them. Father's expression never changed. You failed to produce a son. The words landed like a knife. Several servants lowered their eyes. Everyone understood what he was implying. My mother had given birth only once. To me, a daughter, as though children were conceived by one parent alone. I've made my decision, Father continued. Serena will become my second wife. Rowan will be recognized as my heir. My mother took one slow breath. Then another. I want a divorce. Exactly as before. In my first life, those 4 words had ruined everything. Because 30 days after the divorce, my father died. Not peacefully, not from illness. He died protecting the king during an assassination attempt. The grateful king rewarded his widow beyond imagination. Titles, gold, lands, political influence. Only, my mother wasn't his widow anymore. Serena was. Everything that should have belonged to us belonged to them instead. By the time Rowan reached adulthood, our family had nothing. No protection, no allies, no fortune. He hunted us for years, not because we threatened him, because we existed. He enjoyed watching us suffer. Mother died begging for medicine she could never afford. I died in chains. Not this time. I stepped forward before my mother could speak again. Mother! Everyone turned. I let my small voice shake. My head hurts. The room instantly changed. My mother's fury disappeared. She rushed toward me. My darling. She knelt, pressed a hand against my forehead. What happened? I don't feel well. It wasn't entirely a lie. Remembering your own death has a way of making breathing difficult. She lifted me into her arms despite my protests. Father sighed impatiently. We're discussing important family matters. My daughter comes first. Mother didn't even look at him. She carried me from the hall. Exactly as I'd hoped. The moment we reached my bedroom, I shut the doors, then locked them. Mother frowned. Elara! I'm not sick. She stared. I needed to speak to you alone. Her confusion deepened. What could possibly? Do not divorce, Father. Her expression hardened. You heard what he said. I know. He humiliated us. I know. He intends to replace us. I know. She stepped back. Then why would you ask me to stay? I swallowed. Because now came the impossible part. Because Father dies in 30 days. The room became silent. Mother blinked once. Then twice. What? 30 days. He saves the king. He becomes a national hero. The royal family rewards his widow with everything. Her face drained of color. How could you possibly know that? Because I'd watched it happen. Because I'd buried her. Because I'd burned. I've already lived it. Her breathing slowed. I could almost hear her deciding whether her daughter had gone mad. I remember another life. I remember growing up. I remember losing everything. I remember dying. She didn't interrupt. Didn't speak. So I continued. If you divorce him now, Serena inherits everything. If you wait, you become the widow. We keep everything. Mother stayed at me for what felt like forever. Then, a knock. My lady. A servant's voice echoed through the door. The Lord requests your presence. I whispered. She's about to announce another pregnancy. Mother's eyes widened. She opened the door. We returned downstairs. The hall hadn't changed. Father still stood proudly. Serena lowered her gaze before placing one hand across her stomach. My lady. She smiled weakly. I carry another child. Mother froze. Her fingers tightened around mine. She looked down at me. Real fear entered her eyes. I had predicted it perfectly. Now, she believed me. Father looked satisfied. As you can see, the future of our family requires difficult decisions. The assembled relatives nodded among themselves. Several elders had arrived while we were upstairs. Exactly as before. This wasn't merely a family discussion. It was a public judgment. Mother surprised everyone. She smiled. Not warmly. Politely. My husband. If Serena truly carries your child, I congratulate you. Even Father looked confused. But, she continued, my beloved mother-in-law passed away only 5 days ago. Our family remains in mourning. She slowly turned toward the elders. Would it not dishonor her memory to celebrate another marriage during the mourning period? The elders exchanged uncertain glances. She had trapped them. No respectable noble could openly reject tradition. One elder cleared his throat. The lady speaks wisely. Major household ceremonies should wait. Another nodded. At least until mourning concludes. Father's jaw tightened. Serena's smile vanished. Mother bowed gracefully. I have no objection. After mourning ends, we may discuss this again. Again. Not now. That single delay changed everything. 30 days. That was all we needed. Father couldn't publicly challenge the elders without appearing dishonorable. He reluctantly agreed. The meeting ended. But the war had just begun. That evening Mother entered my room carrying a single candle. She closed the door quietly. I want the truth. Everything. So I told her. Not every cruel detail. A mother should never hear exactly how her daughter died. But enough. The poverty. The betrayal. The poison. The burning manor. Rowan. Serena. Their years of quiet cruelty. When I finished, Mother's tears had dried. Only determination remained. We survived 30 days. She whispered. Then, they will learn what happens when they mistake kindness for weakness. I nodded. Tomorrow, our revenge would truly begin.